Hi everybody, it's Shalene, and today we are going to talk about books. I have been reading since I was a little girl. I loved to read. In elementary school, I had taken out books from the school library of Little House on the Prairie, All the Wizard of Oz. I probably read the book Heidi probably 10 to 20 times, and Pollyanna several times. Those were my two favorite books. And then I got into romance late teenage years. There was a library program where you could order books and they would mail them to you. So my mom and I took advantage of that during the summer because we only had one vehicle. My dad used it for work. So my mom and I would order books all the time and read them, and then you sent them back through the mail. It was free shipping. I remember doing that a lot. And I grew up on a lake, so we would just sit out by the water reading all the time. And then my mother-in-law had gotten me hooked on Harlequins for a while, and I read tons of Harlequin romance. And then I got sick of those, and she also read some mysteries, and I ended up getting hooked onto Mary Higgins Clark, Danielle Steele. I love Danielle Steele's older books, and my favorite one is Palomino. So I've read most of. I'm behind because I got into a reading rut for a few years while I was working, and I got into the YA the past 2 years, so all I'd been reading was YA, and I need a break from the YA, so I'm back into the mysteries and some romance. I like romance that has a little bit of mystery in it, but I will throw in a romance once in a while. Yeah, I love Jack Reacher series, which is, I believe, Lee Child. I like John Sanford. Love James Patterson. Alex Cross series and the Women's Murder Club series. There's so many books. Stephen King, I like his older books better. I love John Saul, and Dean Koontz is my favorite out of the horror for right now. So many books. So many books. When I was a stay-at-home mom, Scott and I would go to all the yard sales, the library sales that were going on, and I stocked up on books that way. Especially the library sales. If you go the day after, you could fill up a bag for $2, and I would fill those bags up. And I've always swapped books with family and friends, so I've always had books. My bookshelves now are overflowing, and I'm trying to get to them read. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of what I read in June. And sometimes I am one of those people that when I'm done with a book and I start the next one, I forget the characters and stuff that went on in that past book, even though I really, really liked it. So bear with me because I got to remember a little bit. So the first book that I finished in June was Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs, and I gave that a 3 out of 5 star. That's a YR. I don't even know how you describe it. It's not really fantasy, maybe paranormal. It's very strange. I really liked it. I read that on my tablet, and I still need to see the movie. And then I read The Longest Ride by Nicholas Sparks. I'm a big Nicholas Sparks fan. Love his books. I gave this a 5 star, and I saw the movie, and the main storyline is the same, but the things that happen are different. I wasn't impressed with the movie because I read this. So you got to learn more of the characters in this than what you did in the movie. But I did really like this book. And I highly recommend this if you like Nicholas Sparks. And this has to do with a bull rider and a college student who meets him, and they end up forming a relationship. And then I read Elsewhere by Gabrielle Zevin, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 star. And this was different, and it was very good. And this teenager had died and gone to what they call Elsewhere. Elsewhere is like heaven. And when you die, you go up, and see, the main character, Liz, she's 15 years old, she died. She was hit while riding her bicycle. So when she went up to heaven, she meets her grandmother who had passed away before she was born. So her grandmother is like 50. And she lives with her grandmother in Elsewhere. And in Elsewhere, you find jobs and you go down in age. So like she's 15 and you go down in age, and when you become a baby again, they ship you down this river and you become born back on Earth. It is the cutest book. It was a young adult, and I really, really enjoyed this. And then I read Luckiest Girl Alive, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 star. This was highly recommended. And give me a minute. Annie had something terrible happen to her in high school or college. I can't remember. It was at the prestigious Bradley School. She endured a shocking public humiliation that left her desperate to reinvent herself. Now with a glorious, glamorous job, expensive wardrobe, and handsome blue blood fiancé, she's this close to living the perfect life she's worked so hard to achieve. This was really good, and I liked this. And like I said, I gave it a 4 out of 5 star. I'm not real good at talking on reviews. I'm better at writing them. So that's why I don't do too many review videos. Let's see what was next. There Are Monsters Here. I read on my tablet by Cameron Chaney. He is a booktuber. It was not my type of book. I only gave it 2 stars. I'm sorry, Cameron. I'm sure other people liked it. It just was not for me. And then I read a book for NetGalley. I gave it a review. It was called First Comes Love by Emily Giffen, and I gave that a 4 out of 5 star. If you have read any of her books, you know that she's a great writer. If you haven't, I recommend her books. And then I read Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult, and I gave that a 5 out of 5. And I got that from NetGalley as well. What can I say? It's Jodi Picoult. Yeah, you have to read it. Until Friday Night by Abby Glines. It was the first book of her series. I had the second book through NetGalley, but I started to read it and said, nope, I already like this. I want to read the first book. So I got the first book through the library on my tablet, and I read that. I gave that a 4 out of 5. This has to do with teenagers. It's a young adult fiction. It's not really a mystery or anything. It's just a YA fiction. I really liked it. And Under the Lights was number 2, and I got that from NetGalley. I also gave that a 4 out of 5 star. It takes place right from where the first book ends, and the third book comes out this year maybe, and I really, really want it. And then from NetGalley, I also got Would Like to Meet by Polly James. That one was really good. This couple had been married like 29 years, and they were in a rut, and they decided to split up. And they both go on a dating site. And the husband starts talking to this woman, and it ends up being his ex-wife. I don't even know if they got divorced yet. Maybe they were just separated. I think they were just separated. So she knew who he was because he used his real name, but she didn't use her real name. And at the end, he ends up realizing it was her. It was really good. I gave that a 4 out of 5. And then I've read the second book of a series called Kashmir by Temple West. And this is a trilogy. This is the second book. I gave this a 4 out of 5 star, and this has to do with vampires. And I read the first book a few months ago. The first book is called Velvet. And I read this because I'm trying to think of her name on BookTube. I can see her face and I can hear her voice, but I can't think of her name. But she recommended Velvet a couple years ago, and so I got it and I read it and really, really liked it. So then I had to go and buy Kashmir. So now I'm waiting for the third book. So that's what I read in June. And I'll tell you what I've read so far in July because I want to get back into doing Friday reads. So this month I have already read Exposed by Lisa Scottoline. Is that how you pronounce her name? I got that from NetGalley. It's the 5th book in a series of hers, and I gave that 4 out of 5. And that has to do with a company who fired one of their good employers because his daughter was sick, and the company pays so much of the insurance, and because she was having to have all kinds of treatments, the company was getting upset. So that's why he was told he was let go. But as you keep reading, you'll find out the other reason why he was really let go. And so the lawyer that he hired was a good friend, family friend, and her partner said, you can't take on this client because who you're suing is one of the biggest clients we have in this company, and she didn't realize it because she never dealt with them. So then you go on to ethics and all that, and it was really good. And I gave that, like I said, a 4 out of 5. I believe I read the 4th book last October. I think I got that from NetGalley. So this weekend is a readathon that is on Facebook every month. It's called Shadow Lounge Monthly Readathon. It's always the second weekend of each month, and it runs from Friday night 6 p.m. Eastern Time through Sunday night 6 p.m. Eastern Time. It's not a 24-hour thing. You don't have to stay up all night. There's no challenges. It's a challenge to you on how many books you can finish. And you only have to post what you're reading and what you finished. That's it. I like this much better than the one that 24-hour readathon. I can't do that. I couldn't do it. So I joined this, and I really like it. I just haven't had... It's already 1:30 in the afternoon Saturday, and I haven't even picked up my book yet. I had Carson overnight, so I really couldn't read last night. He was running around, and he was just really hyper. So I got a few pages read, and that was it. I'm hoping to read most of today. I probably should do a coloring video, but I might wait till tomorrow after I watch Jen's Color Christmas in July video. So right now I'm reading a book. I'm reading NetGalley this weekend, so I'm reading Mask of Shadows by Lindsay Miller, and I believe it's a YA, and it is a fantasy. I've only read a few pages. It seems good so far. And then I have The Breakdown by B.A. Paris, and The Breakdown is by the same author as Behind Closed Doors. That was, I think it was the debut novel of this author, and it was really good, so I cannot wait to read The Breakdown. I don't know what it's about. I just know that I had to read it because I really liked Behind Closed Doors. And then if I can get a third book in, I have Any Dream Will Do by Debbie McComber. Is it McComber or Macomber? I'm not sure, but I really like her books, and they're usually a quick read, so I have that. So that's what I'm reading this weekend. And then next week, if I have time, I will finish those books. And I have A Promise of Fireflies by Susan Hout. And I'm not sure what that's about. I don't remember. These are all from NetGalley. And then I have Seeing Red by Sandra Brown. And you can't go wrong with Sandra Brown. She writes some mysteries. She does some romance. And I really like her mystery books. Then I have Girl in Snow by Dania Kukafa. And I don't remember what that is about. But I was sent an email from the publisher asked me if I would read the ebook, so I said sure. And then I have Reckless Creed by Alex Cava, and I've read one or two before of Alex's, and I think they're like a horror book. So that's what I plan on reading, because I'm trying to get back into my my tablet and into my adult books. I needed a break. I read so much young adult fantasy, dystopian. Even though they were awesome, I got a little burnt out by them. And I had to do this video because Linda says, I don't see your face anymore. I'm sorry, Linda. I hadn't been doing the videos because I needed to sit down and I need to do my hair. I mean, I can't let it look crappy, and I always like to put on a little bit of makeup. I don't need a lot, just eyeliner and mascara and lipstick, that's it, but I just haven't felt like it, and that's really strange for me because I am the type of person that when they get up, they put on the makeup and do the hair. Well, I'm getting up at 5:30 in the morning, and I'm babysitting the boys, and they don't really care what I looked like. Even though I did all that when I raised my boys, I got up every morning, I did the hair and the makeup, even though I was home with the boys. But I also didn't stay home every day with the boys like I do Amber's kids. I don't have a car seat for Blake. So if I want to go somewhere, her and I just switch vehicles. So, and I haven't been to the library in a while, and I haven't taken Carson to the library reading program because Blake is not quite walking yet, and he is all over the place. So, I'm just waiting. It was much easier raising little kids when I was in my mid to late 20s than doing it at age 52. I love my grandchildren and I can play with them, but carting them all over the place just tires me out. And I had Carson last night and he tired me out. He used to come here all the time, almost every weekend. Before Blake was born, I had him a lot. It was just him and I. We'd go shopping, we'd go do this and do that, and he was always here. But now that I babysit during the week, I don't take him overnight. So I had said I would take him last night, and it was the first time he cried. He wanted to go home. He didn't cry long, maybe a few seconds, and I said, but you're going to sleep in the big bed with Mima, because Scott had to go in last night, so he could sleep with me. So he's like, okay. And I said, and Daenerys will sleep with us too. She always sleeps on the bed. And I said, we're going to bed in a few minutes. And he's like, okay. So we get into bed, and I knew he was going to cry a little bit. And Daenerys jumped up, and she licked his face, and then she laid down right next to him. And he smiled, and I said, it's fine. I says, nothing's going to happen to you. I said, because Daenerys won't let anything happen to you. She's your watchdog. So he smiled, and it took him about 20 minutes to settle down and fall asleep. He didn't cry anymore, but he's not a sleeper at their house. He doesn't fall asleep till like 1 in the morning. They can't get him to sleep. They can't get him to stay in bed. He gets up during the night. He gets food. He climbs the counters, gets into food, gets into everything. And one night he got up in the middle of the night, went outside, took the carton of eggs out and smashed them all over their porch. So now they have to lock him in his bedroom, unfortunately. But his bedroom door is right next to theirs. So if there's a fire or anything, they can get him out. But he does not sleep at home. He slept the whole night here. I was surprised. I woke up at 8. Daenerys had to go out, and because we went to bed at 10 last night, I don't go to bed that early on Friday night. So I got up at 8. I let Daenerys out. I fixed me breakfast. I went on the computer, and he got up around 9 o'clock. So I got him ready for the day, and him and Daenerys played outside with a tennis ball for about half an hour until he tired her out. He wasn't tired, but she was. So I had Scott take him home. So I could take a shower, and Daenerys passed out. She's not going to move for quite a while. I'm saying her name and her ears aren't even twitching. They played in the house too, of course, but she's really good with him, and she loves both the boys. So, yeah, that's what's been going on, and I have been getting back into reading, and I read mostly at Dylan's. I do have a birthday party to go to tomorrow, so that'll take up a couple hours of not being able to read. And like I said, I have to do a video. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a coloring one today or wait till tomorrow. Because I would like to watch Jen's first. And that's it. I am going to try to get back into Friday reads. I have a book tag that I was from, who tagged me? Books and Quirks. I think that's who tagged me. So Dee from Books and Quirks. She tagged me in a book tag, and that was like over a month ago. So I have to go through that list and pull books off my bookshelves and do the book tag. Just too lazy. And today is a high of 72. There's a nice breeze. No air conditioners on. The windows are all open. This is my kind of weather. Love it. So, let me know what you are reading, what kinds of books you like to read. Also, I know I didn't get into it a lot. I read mostly anything but Westerns and autobiographies. If it's got romance, I like a little bit of mystery in it. I love my mysteries, horror, paranormal, vampires, all that urban fantasy. Laurel K. Hamilton, I've been reading her series. Which one? The most popular one. And I still have a lot of those to read. J.D. Robb, love the In Death series. I'm way behind on that. Sue Grafton, I'm caught up on. Lee Child, I'm behind. John Sanford is the Prey books, I'm behind. Alex Cross, I'm behind. Yeah. So, yep, I'm getting back into reading, and I'm trying to read up my NetGalley books and all the books on my shelves before I use the library. And I keep requesting more NetGalley books because more are coming out that I really want to read, so that's why I've been reading more. Because I really want to get them read up. And I do all my reviews on Goodreads. I'll try to remember to put my Goodreads link down below, if it's not already. Yeah. But, yep, I got my Samsung tablet. And I have probably 20 to 30 summer books that I want to read that are like beach reads. The covers are all summer looking, and the stories take place in the summer on the beach. So I have a lot of those, and I don't know when I'm going to get to them, as now I'm reading the NetGalley books, but I will get to them. So, yeah, I know I have a lot. That's it for now. Let me know what you're reading, who your favorite authors are. Do you get a lot of time to read? Do you prefer paper books or tablets? I like both. It's easy to cart this around and take to Dylan's, but I also have a bag that I take a couple bags with me to Dylan's every day, and so either a book or my tablet or both is in it. I like both, but I'm trying to downsize my bookcases because they are overflowing. So again, I will try to do more Friday reads so you can see my face. Bye, everybody.